Hello, my friends. I have a special guest on the podcast today, and I am super excited for you to meet her. She has some amazing things that she is going to share with us. But first, I thought I would just tell you a little bit about who she is. So, my friend's name is Shan Wright. She is a daughter of the king, wife, mama of four, RN, and holistic wellness advocate. She knows very well what it feels like to want to live life well, but also feel like she's about to lose it with her very blessed, full life. After postpartum anxiety and realizing that she couldn't pour from an empty cup, she simply and practically tracked her way to whole body wellness and so much peace. Her mission is to grab your hand and help you thrive in mind, body, and spirit within motherhood. So I am so excited for her to share with you today. I got to meet Shan because we were both a part of the same podcasting program. We learned how to grow our podcast through the same program and connected in there with a group of ladies. And she is just so encouraging, so kind. She has some valuable information to share. And one thing I do want to note is Shan herself is not post-abortive, but she has a deep love for women and for people and has a lot to teach us in regards to stress and anxiety and a lot of the things that we can struggle with in our post-abortion healing. So I'm so excited for you to hear from her. I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to go ahead and just allow you guys to listen to what she has to say. Are you struggling with the pain of a past abortion and longing for help but don't know where to turn? Welcome to the Does God Forgive Abortion podcast. I'm Brittany, an abortion recovery and mental health coach who went from feeling completely isolated and desperate in my post-abortion grief to achieving wholeness and freedom, all because of redemption in Christ. If you are ready to break free from the chains of shame and guilt from a past decision of abortion, you are in the right place. Let's crack open that Bible because it's time to receive the good news. Well, friends, it is getting to be that time of year. We are getting ready for our next Abortion Recovery Breakthrough Workshop. I am so excited to be able to finally start inviting you to join us. This workshop is going to occur on March 26th at 1 p.m. Central Time in our private Facebook community. And the last time we had this workshop, which was almost a year ago, you guys absolutely loved it. And I have been working hard behind the scenes to update all of the things, improve it even more, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So, what are we going to talk about in this workshop? Well, we are going to talk about really what you're wanting to hear, which is how do I finally heal and move forward? You're going to learn how to know when you're ready to heal from your past abortion. You're also going to learn the 4 steps to really any abortion recovery healing journey. Pretty much any journey that you're going to take is going to have 4 main steps. So we're going to go over those in detail. And then we're also going to talk about why it's important not to do this completely alone. It's so tempting to want to do this on our own, but it is so important not to go at this completely alone. So if you would like to join us for our live Abortion Recovery Breakthrough Workshop on March 26th at 1 p.m. Central Time, you can go right now to brittanypoppy.com/workshop and get registered. Make sure you register even if you are a member of the Facebook group, because I'm going to have important communication via the email that you register with. So if you don't register, you might miss out on some pretty exciting things, because we like to give away some pretty amazing things during the workshop. So make sure you register, make sure you put this on your calendar and are ready to hang out with us live for about an hour. I am praying over you. I'm praying that you are going to be preparing your heart to hear what we have to share, and I just cannot wait to see what God does with your story. So I will see you at 1 p.m. Central Time on March 26th for the Abortion Recovery Breakthrough Workshop. Well, hello everyone. I am super excited to introduce you today to my friend Shan. Shan, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited too. I'm really excited to hear what you have to share with us today. And I'd love to start by having you just kind of share from your heart about who you are, what you do, tell us about your family, all the things.
Yeah, so first off, I'm a daughter of the king. I have four kids and a husband of, I think we're coming up on 14 years. I have a daughter that's almost 12, one that's almost 10, one that is almost 5, and then I have a 7-year-old. They literally all three have birthdays in 1 week in like 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that is
So
so fun.
we're gearing up for our birthday, big birthday month, but and then I am a nurse and I now do that in a more soul-aligned way through holistic wellness coaching and a podcast and a coaching program. And yeah, I love to anything active and sports and being outside and laughing and just having fun. So that's a little bit.
That's awesome. I can totally see that too. And one thing I've noticed about you is just like the fun and bright colors that you wear, and you just seem like so fun.
Oh, thanks. It actually, it's like counter to sometimes my anxiety that I have inside. So it's
Ah,
like really what I need to focus on is fun and laughter because I know that will help my anxiety. So I try to like force myself into that. And I love it. It's just sometimes life makes me anxious.
oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. I love that that's a way that you just like try to help yourself with that. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
That's maybe something that we wouldn't think of initially, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I know I didn't send you this question beforehand, but it just kind of popped into my head, especially as I was listening to you pray before we started. Do you mind if I ask what your spiritual gifts are?
Ooh, um, where is that? I have it written in a journal, and I literally just came across it the other day. I'm like, what journal is that in? Um, but I will say, I know I have the gift of encouragement and
Mm.
mercy and shepherding. Those are the kind you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Those spiritual
Yeah.
gifts.
Yeah.
Um, and then as far as like, what is that? Strength finders. I am like relational and I'm trying to think of the others. Also encouraging. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, when I was listening to you pray, I was thinking, wow, she is really an encourager. So that's really cool.
Oh, good.
Anyway, hopefully it's okay. I put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, that's encouraging to me. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. So I would love to know more just about like kind of what led you to doing what you do. Like what kind of led you to begin? I know like the biggest thing about kind of what your podcast and business does is like really helping moms reduce their stress and
hmm
anxiety. So like what's your testimony surrounding that? What led you to do that?
Yeah, well, I'll try to sum it up, but I kind of realized I don't know, I struggled with perfectionism and high achieving and performing and striving all growing up. But during all those seasons of high school and college and even young adult, I saw it kind of all as a good thing. And even being a perfectionist, I was like, what's the problem with that? Like the worst I heard from people was perfectionists tend to procrastinate. And I was like, well, that's okay because I get my best work done at the hour, right? Like
Mhm.
at the time I need to get it done. I love to procrastinate because I do the best. But I never saw it as a bad thing. And it actually was in college, in nursing school, when I realized I was having a really hard time testing. And I actually went to the school counselor. I went to a private Christian nursing school that was absolutely amazing. And I went to the counselor, and she kind of for my test anxiety. And she kind of helped me see that it was kind of throughout my whole life. And I still was like kind of headstrong, like, no, it's just test anxiety, but she was kind of bringing these questions and thoughts up into my head, right? So then after college and I made it through nursing school and I entered the real world and I I realized more and more that my anxiety and stress was like hard to manage in the real world. And I was managing in high school. I was got amazing grades, was a good athlete because I just stressed myself out until I got all those things. But in the real world, it affected my relationships. It affected my like sanity. Like I felt like a crazy person sometimes. It affected my sleep. And it was starting to really show up a lot more. And then kind of, life goes on somewhat. And then I had my third child. And I realized at that point, after hearing someone else's story, that, wow, I'm just like her. And she was describing her postpartum anxiety. And I was like, I think that's what I have. And so I talked to my doctor and I talked to my husband. And ultimately, I went to God and I said, I need help, God. Like, I think I have this, but what I really need help with is help with all the stuff around the house, my kids, my baby, my marriage. I have all these relationships I'm trying to juggle. Can you just help me? And he was like, no, you don't need to do all this stuff. You don't need to do it all perfectly. You are stressing yourself out. And you're not supposed to live this perfect, quote unquote, perfect life. And so that started my holistic wellness journey. And he actually gave me 4 simple holistic wellness things to do that led me on a healing journey. And I just thought it was for me, right? Like I was like, oh, this is okay. I'm getting so much peace. I'm getting so much better. Then my 4th kid comes along and I had the worst, actually, anxiety my whole pregnancy. And then postpartum, it was the worst. He was born 2020, March 2020.
Oh
So
no. Mm,
it makes sense, right? But
yeah.
it was at that point that I had to really put what I learned over they're 2.5 years apart, into practice and really be intentional with everything that I did for my own healing. But then so that I didn't know this, right? But in hindsight, so that I can share it with others. And I
Mhm.
entered into a health and wellness networking marketing team. And I started feeling like a nurse again and started acting like a nurse again, helping people. And God led me on this journey to like, I really want you to share not just supplements and how you can help people that way and help them make money, but how you can help them get over their stress and anxiety. Because I want you to share your story. So that's been a 4-year journey. And here I am today, helping moms with their stress and anxiety and how to like do motherhood in a way where you're thriving and living on purpose, because that's what I was able to do.
That's awesome. I love that so much. And you know what? I think it's so cool that you shared specifically about your journey into, perfectionism and really just kind of overachieving, because that's
Mm.
actually one of the symptoms on the post-abortion stress syndrome sheet. There's like a long, long list of symptoms that women who have had abortions experience. And so, even though I know you're coming on the show
Yeah.
today, not giving a post abortion testimony, because we know that you are not post abortive, you are able to kind of share for these women, like, that's a real thing that causes that kind of cycle of stress, anxiety, never
Mhm.
ever ending. And how do you come out of that? So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing all of that. That's so, so valuable. And I would love to know more, just kind of, you said God gave you 4 things. So what specifically do you do and teach women when it comes to overcoming their stress and anxiety? What are some ways you kind of specifically help them?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is naming it and recognizing it for what it is. So, and that was a process for me. Like, as I kind of explained, like College, it was test anxiety. In high school, I was a proud perfectionist. Um, and then it was test anxiety. And then it was specifically postpartum and just that. And it's like, no, like you're struggling with anxiety and it is creeping in so many different parts of your life. And it just comes out and is exaggerated in certain areas. And so naming it, recognizing it for what it is, and then asking God what to know about it because He knows you. He knows every inside part of you, what to know that you don't know, but He does, and what to do about it. And for me, that was the 4 wellness actions. And then after He gave them, I actually had to do them. I had to trust, like, I trust you, God. Like, you're telling me stop doing all these things and do these 4. Okay, if you say so. Like, I'm sweating a little bit because I want to keep doing. And he's like, no, it's more important about who you're becoming than what you are doing. And so right now, you are becoming some anxious mom that's trying to raise kids. You can't do that. You have to, breathe and realize that who you are is way more important than what you do. And so the 4 were specifically spending time with him. So my
Mhm.
spiritual wellness, really making that at the forefront, even though I had a newborn and I had 2 toddlers and I had a husband and a house and a business and all the things, it was like, no, it doesn't matter that you got 2 hours of sleep last night. Like, still make time for me throughout the day, just as you're making time to feed your children. Like, he is our breath. Like, he is what we need for life to sustain. So time with him, time with my husband. So really focusing on that marriage because the way that we love each other and take care of each other will speaks volumes to our children and how they are cared for. So I needed to, hone in on that relationship. And then time with this sounds silly, but my body, like physically moving my body 30 minutes a day. It was real simple. It was knowing that there's a mind body connection and starting to get that going. Because remember, this was a holistic journey he is taking me on. And it's like just the basics, just move your body 30 minutes a day. That's all I want you to do. I was in postpartum. Like, I didn't even know my body anymore. Like, it was like, what is, and that was actually a big source of anxiety. It was my body doesn't feel like my own. And I know your listeners feel that too, no matter what they go through with their body, that it doesn't feel like their own. It feels like a stranger. It feels like all sorts of feelings come up. And it's like just move it and try to connect again, feel the connection between your mind and your spirit and your body, the thoughts, the feelings, really reflect on them. So just go for a walk for 30 minutes and just soak it in, all those thoughts, feelings, and really process. And then the 4th one was spending time with girlfriends. Because again, back to the whole fun thing, need to have fun, need to laugh and just let out some stress by literally having fun. Like, that is the antidote to stress is gratitude. So being grateful for your relationships that you do have by spending time with them. And this means you have to make time. You have to be intentional. Look at your calendar. Where can I squeeze in a date night with girlfriends? Where can I squeeze in a coffee date? This means no kids. This means just intentional building those relationships. So it was social wellness, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, all the things in these 4 actions.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think those are some of the first things that we say no to when we feel
Oh,
like our plate is so full. Those are the
yeah.
first things to go.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, so many times as you become a mom, you're like, I have all these friends. And you become a mom and you're like, where do my friends go? I never see my friends. And it's like you all feel that way. You all have it's like that extra intentional effort has to be there mutually for you and your spouse, you and your friends. And then God's always waiting. He's like, I'm here. I need you to come spend time with me. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. That's such a good reminder too, especially, yeah, when we are just so quick to think that we don't have the time for those things when really they're kind of the foundation
Mhm.
for um our whole health,
Yeah.
really. So you mentioned some ways. Do women have to live with stress and anxiety for the rest of their lives, or is there hope?
It's a good question. There is hope. There is
Mhm.
hope. We're all on a holistic wellness journey, actually, and we just need more help at different times to have more effort to climb these mountains of life that we go through, and the storms and the valleys and the highs and the lows. And so being aware, self-awareness is key. So being aware that you are prone to anxiety and stress and continuing to pursue the holistic wellness journey really with courage, because we can let a lot of, anxiety, another word would be fear. We can let the fear take over and say, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Like that sounds scary or uncomfortable, and it's like we can just stay in that fear and stay holding ourselves back from pursuing the peace that he really has for us. So we have to take courage is taking a step forward in the face of fear. So we have to take courageous action and step forward to to reduce the stress, to reduce the anxieties in life. So true peace, like that's what we want, right? When we have this fear and stress and anxiety, we just want peace and calm. True peace is wholeness, and that is shalom. And we won't see that completely until we're with Jesus, because that he's true perfect peace, but we can find it as we pursue his way of life, as we can chase after him every day. So if you're feeling stress and anxiety, where do you find peace? You find it in Jesus, who is peace. He is the peacemaker. He is the Prince of Peace. So we just go towards him. And I do want to say, stress is on a continuum. So it actually, laying in bed, well, sometimes we have mental stress, but doing nothing is like at the bottom of this curve. And then at the top is like optimum stress. This is like crossing the finish line. This is like hitting the goal. This is doing the thing. And then right after that is exhaustion and fatigue. And then down the slope just a little bit is anxiety and anger. And then at the bottom is burnout. And so we can find ourselves along that curve, and really we just want to reduce it a little bit to get back to this happy place of stress that we all live with, a degree of it. But if we hang out at that like too much stress too long, that's where we crash. That's where we see the anxiety and the anger and the distress. And we can just pull out some of these. I have like all these different tools that I teach, and pull out these different tools to just reduce that stress back to a happy place, to where we're actually performing and achieving and getting stuff done, being productive, but with this level peace in our life at the same time.
Oh yeah, that is so good. So good. I love that. I think too, we sometimes we find ourselves in that place and ask that question, how do I get out of this, or what's the future going to look like? And I think you just explained that so well. It's not about getting rid of everything, it's about learning what to do in those situations.
Mhm.
And the answer is always Jesus. And
Mhm.
take, like you said, taking that step, obedience is a huge part of it. We can't just ask God for something and expect him to just hand it to us. We kind of have to take the step with him, and
Yeah.
allow him to hold our hand.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole, like, he is the healer too. So like you want to find
Mhm.
healing for whatever past thing you went through, that's causing, like, we have a lot of anxiety from our past. And no matter what it is, like for me, it was a lot of financial anxiety through my childhood, things that I could not control. And so, what did I do? I tried to control things with perfectionism, and I tried to control my grades and how I performed on the sports field, and like I tried to control what I could. And he he wants to heal those places where we are, feeling that anxiety. We're trying to, fix the past in some way. He wants to heal that, and he's the healer. We can only find that true healing from going to him. Otherwise, we're just covering up the hole with a band-aid, and that doesn't work.
Exactly. Exactly, for sure. That is a really good way to put it. Uh, so the listeners usually find themselves kind of struggling with like this weight of this undealt with guilt, shame, all of those kind of gross things because of their
Hmm.
past decision. And what these things kind of end up, we call it when we're teaching about, what this is, we call it the crazy cycle, where they kind of go through this crazy cycle of shame, guilt, anxiety, stress, burnout. You even use some of those words when you
Yeah.
were just sharing. What words of encouragement would you leave the listener with in regards to healing?
Yeah. Well, I kind of just pointed out healing a little bit.
Mhm.
I didn't know this question was coming, I guess. But I do believe God has healing for you, listener, wherever you are. He has healing for you because he reveals what he wants to heal. So if it is apparent to you that you have this anxiety, this shame, this guilt, um, and you can't go back and you can't change what happened in the past, but he can heal the past wound. And I believe he can provide inner healing to the past. And it's not an easy or a one-time thing, but it is a process. And this includes the shame and the guilt that leave these, gaping heart wounds. I believe he has inner healing. I've, like I said, my financial past, I've had to walk through a journey. It actually took a full year of um, doing some inner healing work on my heart, actual my heart, because that's where um, your heart is the wellspring of life. That's where you feel and you have so many things that you hold and they affect your words and your actions and he had to get in there and do the real healing to my heart and it took a while and a process, so I think he has that for you, but I want to give practical steps to this question because I like healing just sounds, yeah, like a hard, long journey. And it's like, I don't want you to live with the shame and the guilt, and anxiety like every day until you're like, okay, one day I'm going to find healing. So here's some practical steps. I would say ask God what your triggers are. Like, what sets off your stress and anxiety? Like, is it a baby shower? Then ask Him what to do in that. Maybe it's not to go. Maybe it is to go. Wherever you are on the healing journey, it might be not now, but maybe later you can go to a baby shower. Like you never know how much your heart has healed. But, think about what is setting you off to feel that shame and that guilt. Like what was said, what was done, what was the invitation for a baby shower? Like what happened that set off those feelings and then just retrace it and go back and back. And then like maybe your trigger is disobedience from your child that leads then to mom rage and yelling. And that leads to guilt and shame because now you're yelling at this precious child, and then all your shame comes back from the past. So, the fix isn't to have perfect children. You're never going to have perfect children, but to, abide with Jesus, to receive the forgiveness and the grace that he poured out on the cross. Like that is where we overcome shame is through the cross. It's really the only place because he took all the shame. So I dealt with shame a lot growing up. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I realized I was not fully accepting the cross if I wanted to hold on to that shame. And it was something that I
Mm.
was like holding on to because I thought that it made me, what's the word? Um, like humble in a way, like oh, like I shouldn't have done that. And like I don't know, like just feeling like bad for what I did or the way that I was, and it brought on this shame, and the enemy loves for us to sit there and stay there, and then we're not fully embracing the cross and we're not fully embracing what God has for us in salvation. And so anyway, I do have a little experience with shame, but yeah, I would say the cross is where where all shame gets put to rest. And then one more practical thing that goes along with this is to do some somatic practices. I already talked about the mind body connection, but like walking, running, jumping jacks, deep breathing, worshiping, these all like doing these mind body things practices help you think and process what your triggers are. So like if you're like, well, I really don't know what a trigger is, and I'm not really, I have a hard time thinking through my feelings and why I'm feeling all this guilt and shame and anxiety. When we do these things, again, I already talked about this a little bit, but we're connecting our mind and our body, and we can better understand these feelings, which are messengers. Your feelings are messengers. They're telling you something, but we're having a hard time getting connected and reading the messages. So when, your anxiety rises and your body feels something, you can better understand what that feeling is and where the trigger is rooted if you get your mind and body connected. So yeah, deep breathing, worshiping. I actually have this just popped in my head. I created a coloring book to like even like coloring. That is moving, that's using your hand and it's calming your mind and it's with scripture meditation. So then you can be, meditating on this scripture and really connecting, okay, God, what do I feel about this? What are you trying to say to me about this? Why do I feel this bad thing? Like, what does that mean? And like, kind of just like think through, but you really have to get connected to your body to figure out all of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, that makes so much sense. And I think too, some of us think that we have to do this specific, insurmountable, hard thing. But what you're talking about really is practical and simple. It doesn't
Mhm.
make it easy necessarily because that inner work is hard work. You
Yeah.
talked about how that took you some time, and that does. And that doesn't mean that it's all rainbows and butterflies, but these are simple things that you can add into your day. Even just like a few minutes of coloring could probably really kind of release some tension for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really helpful for those listening to understand you don't have to do all of these, super crazy hard things that maybe some certain influencers might be saying on their Instagram feeds. It goes back to, what does the Bible say and what are some simple things that we can do in obedience with God? So I
Yeah.
love that. That's really
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. It's like, just being mindful. I
Mm-hmm.
want to heal. I want to get rid of this guilt and this shame and this anxiety. I want it to be reduced in my everyday life and saying, okay, I want to do this. God, what is one small thing I can do to lead me on this journey? Because it's a journey, it's a holistic wellness journey. And so, what is one small thing I can do? And that's what I share a lot on my podcast. I like to give simple wellness solutions because I talk to moms with tons of stress. So, yes, coloring is one. Just like you're trapped inside with your baby napping or whatever, just go run up and down the stairs. Like just do these small little things that can deep breathing exercises that can bring everything down a notch and just help you think more clearly. And that is one step closer on your healing journey.
Yes, so good. So, speaking of your podcast, why don't you tell us the name of your podcast? Maybe tell us, where we can find you. And if someone is listening and they relate to you and want to know more about you or how to work with you, tell us how we can do that too.
Yeah. So my podcast is called Holistic Moms, anywhere you stream podcasts. And I actually, I have a new offer that I'm working on. It's going to be a course program, and I don't have the exact link for it, but it will be on my website. So that's just at theshanwright.com. So there you can find any way that you can work with me. And then I always have a free stress relief chat. Just so if you're like, I'm feeling stressed out and I can't figure out, a quick tool to use, and here's the situation, just to talk through some things, maybe you don't have that. I can be that friend, that whatever, accountability partner, whatever. And that is just that bit.ly/chat with Shan. And you can always book that for free and we can just chat about whatever is going on.
That's awesome. And I'll have all those links in the show notes so they can easily find you and take a look at all of that. That's awesome. So excited. So thank you so much for coming on the show. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Super fun. Thanks for having me.
Hey, beautiful friend. I hope that you found comfort from today's episode. If so, would you consider leaving a review wherever you are listening? It truly encourages me to know that this podcast has been helping you. Also, I want to remind you that we are here for you. If you would like to connect with a community of women healing from the past decision of abortion, please join us in our private Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Christian women healing from abortion. Please know that I continue to pray for you every day, and I am so thankful for you. I will meet you back in a few days for a brand new episode, but until then, take care and God bless.